Hey guys, Tepcocyclerepair. Today working on a Predator super quiet inverter. This is a 9500. This is they're good generators. Things happen to them. I'm going to show you a pretty common problem that happens. It's a pretty good size repair. So this one has 587 hours on. This was used on a food truck. Okay, so the complaint was that it stopped running and it wouldn't restart again. It was cranking. It cranks fine and spins. Everything is good, but it has no compression when I checked it. So I went ahead and pulled the side cover off. There's only two 8mm, one there and one there. Those come off. I looked at the valve and yeah. So the spring was here. I'll show you a screenshot of what I found when I first opened it. So I pulled it off and the valve is not there. So it dropped the valve. The issue now is going to be, how bad is it? And they opted for a new generator because the repair on this is a new head, because these guides go bad in here. You don't want to just, they're cheap enough to get a whole new head. But there's a lot of labor involved because everything has to come off to get this head off. And if the contact with the piston damages the crankshaft or the connecting rod, it's going to be a bigger problem and it's going to cost more money. And for a truck that runs constantly, and you just don't want to take those chances if it's running out in the middle of a service. Time is money with these trucks. So here it is in my shop. I've set up the new one for them. This is my payment, and I'm going to fix this one up. So in order to change the head on this, you got to get this plastic cover off, and you have to take the exhaust off, the intake off, and your head studs are down here. These heads right here are, they're hard to get. This is not it's a Honda clone engine, but the Honda clone engines have the single bolt center, and that's the head I'm going to change it with, and I'll show you that it fits. When I got it home, I started taking everything apart and ran a scope cam in there, and we may have lucked out. There's definitely contact with the piston. Let me show you. All right, so we're going to drop the scope cam in there. All right, and there's the valve. All right, so you can see the valve right there made contact with the piston, but the valve is still in its place. Okay, you can see it right there. And if you look in, you can see it sitting right there, all right? So the valve is still there, which, like I said, we might have lucked out because it made contact and hopefully just damaged the valve stem. It seems to move smooth, but we'll know when we pull the head off, and I'll check if there's any play in the piston. So, all right, let's take it apart. All right, so in order to get to what we want to get to and have enough room to do everything, this side cover here has to come off, which is pretty simple. The exhaust has to come off. The tank, we can get the tank out of the way. You got to pull the carburetor off, get the carburetor out. All right, so let me pull the side cover off first right here. So we're looking at 8mm bolts around the perimeter. Let me get my bench straightened out here so I have more room. So guys, before you get started into this, the head is probably the most important part of the engine. You have everything. This is a push rod, so you don't have it's not an overhead cam or anything like that, but your intake and your exhaust are connecting to the head, and that's why you have to take stuff off. If you haven't done this before, make sure you take video, take pictures, do whatever you have to do to remember where everything goes. I'll do my best to show you the size of the bolts and everything in every position that they go in. The only thing I've taken apart right now are these four are all the same for the valve cover. We're not going to be using that again. And the two 8mm for there. Now these are the parts that came off of the valve. Okay, the valve seal was damaged and that was just tore to pieces. Everything was kind of messed up here. All right, so we're just going to get a whole new head. Then in here, this cover, like I said, the two 8mm here. And then here is just these perimeter screws around here. We'll take them apart. I think one of them is a different size, but I'll show you. All right, so looking at these, they're all the same size actually. There's 9 of them. All right, all taken out, and you can see they're all the same size. So you just group them together, don't worry about it. All right, for the tank, you have these little rubber covers, and they go on right here. You have one at each corner. Here it is before I take it out. All right, another one there. And then there's one here, and you can see there's 8mm below those also. So go ahead and take those 4 out. All right, so here's 4. These are the same size as the ones for the case. Every bolt so far to take the case covers off has been the same. All right, so these bolts, you can see it there on the other side of this, where the tank is. You can see the red in there. It's part of the tank. It's below the plastic cover here. So we're going to have to get this off. And so we take both of the sides off here, and we got our 8mm again, probably be the same size. We'll take all those off and get these side covers off. All right, so with all those off, 1, 2, all right, there's one in there, 3, 4, 5, 6. You're gonna have one more to take off right here that holds the center in. So you can see right here, this whole piece is about to come off. Take this one, the last center one off right here. You can see these are all the same size again. And then this side cover right here. We're gonna have to loosen this one here. There's another clip in here. All right, so I just grabbed it in here and pulled it out a little bit and pulled it out of the clip that sits in the side cover right here. And there's one, we found one longer one right here. All right, and this longer one is the one that sits right down in here to hold that bottom part on. But all right, so we took this one off. It's longer just to flex it out enough to get the panel off. So now the panel is free. All right, so let's do the same on the other side. We took the middle one off for this one. That goes through here, and that's why you have to take off the middle one here, which we already done. This one here to just loosen this so we can pull it apart enough to get this side off. So let me go ahead and take all these 8s off on this side. Guys, you can see I'm using this Milwaukee. This is M12. This thing's awesome with an 8mm on it. It saves you so much time. If you don't have one, you need one of these things. All right, guys, again, these are all the same size. And the center part here with the pull starts on it right here. All right, so the pull start has 2 Phillips heads, and they're connected to 8mm on the back right there, and then we'll be able to get that off. All right, after you have those off, just pull it here. All right, and now the side cover is off. You can leave the center part on here with the oil change, door, and all that stuff. It just attaches to the outside panel. So this panel is looking like that. And again, we're all 8mm the same. We have these 2 nuts just came off of the pull start cover and the Phillips heads for that. And I drop one down here. There it is. All right, so we got those 4 8mm for the plastic cover and all top, but these are the actual tank nuts right here, and these are the ones you have to get off. So we're gonna go ahead and take off the plastic cover right here. This is the handle and everything. So I think if we take the plastic Phillips head off here, we should be able to rotate this around enough. So let me give that a shot. All right, so the 3 out of here, they're just like wood looking screws right there. And then 8mm that was out of the center here. And now our arm is, and we have to get this out of the way to get the tank out, you see? So here's the gasket came up with that. All right, now I'm back on this side here. And you can do the same right here if you want to loosen this one. Again, these 3, then this 8mm, and that will give us play. Now on this side, there's a pin that it just sits in, and then 1 Phillips head on this side, and then this is just kind of loose. You can pull this out of the way here. All right, so the one on the carburetor side in the top and the center had a longer one also. All right, so our longer ones are going to be here, here, and here so far, okay? All right, so the bracket that the tank mounts to, I took these off so it'll give me more room to flex things around. And then I have this one here. I'm going to take the handle mounts off here so that I can move this handle here a little bit more to get me some more flex in there so I'll be able to get the tank off. All right, I guess you really only need to take this side off, bracket, but anyway, we're pulled out here so we got more room. Same thing on this side with these 8s. I'm going to get all these out of the way so we have flex and everything to move how we got to move and get this tank off. All right, so the 4 tank mounts have washers on them and a little bit longer, okay? There's all the same, all 4 washers and a little bit longer. All right, so I'm about to pull the tank off. I have the cross members taken off so I can flex this out a little bit. I have this just pulled out of the way and the tank's gonna go out this way. As soon as I pull it a little bit this way, I'll be able to get this side up. It's kind of held in by this plastic part, but I'm trying to do this to take apart the minimal amount on this because these foam right here, I would need to cut these off to get this whole piece out or take off this whole support here, which is a couple more bolts down here, 4 more on the bottom. I just don't think we need to do all that. So I'm gonna go ahead and pull a tank off through the opposite side. Now remember, we have fuel lines here, so I'm going to pinch the fuel line that comes out right here with a surgical pinch, pull the vent line and the line off here for the tank. All right, so we're looking just like this right here, pinched off and the vent line is off. Let's pull the tank off. All right, the bracket on this side is just sitting in here now. I'm going to pull this bracket out. That's why I had these off here and these here, and then I'll be able to pull the tank up and out and get it out of the way. All right, right here you got an 8 there and an 8 there. I'm going to pull those off. In hindsight, that would have been probably gave me some more flex than that. So let me take those out. Yeah, so that gave it a lot more flex, so we're good to go. All right, so now let's get the exhaust out of the way. We have these 10s. There's 6 of them up here. To get these up out of the way, that'll give us a cover off. Look, one of them's loose. That's nice. All right, so we're going to take all those off, and then we'll take the exhaust off, which is going to be these here that are on the side. And see the mounts that are going in the inside. Let me get that off. All right, here's the exhaust cover flipped upside down, and these are all the same size again as each other with a washer each. All right, so when we're in here, we have our 10s here that hold the actual muffler on. We have to take this cap off right here in order to get to the 2 exhaust manifold bolts in there. 2 more right here. We'll take those off. So 1, 2, 3, 4, and then take these 2 off right here, and it'll get to the exhaust bolts right there. All right, these are our 4 bolts that hold the muffler on. All right, these are all 4 of these are the same size with washers. All right, this exhaust cover comes off. These 2 10s, both the same size for that. And now inside you can see where the exhaust flange is. We can get those off. All right, so in there, another loose bolt. And these are 13 millimeters, and there's lock washers behind there. They're going to come off when I pull this, and they'll just fall. They should fall right there. All right, so to get the muffler off here, I'm reaching inside with my hand. I'm pulling on the pipe. You can kind of see it down there. All right, so I'm grabbing it. I'm just yanking on the pipe, and I'm just shaking the whole thing because it has to kind of go in. Get my hand out here. It has to kind of go in like this. All right, so we're trying to get it like that. So I'm just grabbing it from inside there, pulling it while I'm shaking it to break it loose, and then we're going to just pull it off. All right, so we're looking like that. So like I said, those 2 washers fill right there. And here's this. Remember, there's a gasket behind it also. That is still, yep, on the flange. So we're just going to take the muffler all the way off. All right, so this is where we're at now. I'm going to go ahead and take this whole piece off here. All right, with all these just mounting bolts in here to get this out of the way. Because when we take the head off, we need to get this plastic piece off. All right, we need enough room to take the whole thing off. So let's go ahead and take all these off. They're down in here. This one's already loose. All right, got a couple up here. Just take all these off and get this whole piece out of the way. All right, so to take this piece off here, these are all 10s. 10, 10, 10 down there, 10 here, and then this one down in the middle, right up against the engine, is a 13. Now this cover will come right off. Yep, out of the way. There we go. That's what we're looking like. Okay, guys, so at this point here, to get to this point, even with me stopping the filming, just under an hour, about 5 minutes under an hour. So I've been working on about 55 minutes right now. So we still got to take this plastic cover off right here, and we have to take the carburetor off, which wouldn't be too bad. That's pretty easy. I'm going to take the air filter cover off, the carburetor off, the plastic cover off, and then we'll be able to just take the bolts out and pull the head off. So let's keep on going. Let's pull the air cleaner off, which these are pretty tight. These, if you have, if you want to change your air filter, it's easier to just take this out. All right. Just take this out of the way. It'll give you more room to get this out so you don't have to fight it. All right, so far that's the hardest part of the job was getting that off, because this bottom clip right here, they really don't give you a lot of room. But if you take this out of the way, just get a screwdriver in there and probably get that off. You'll get it off. Take your air filter out. All right, so let's get the carburetor off. To get the carburetor off, you have to take this plastic piece off right here. 8mm nuts. There's 1, 2, 3. And then on the other side, there's 1, 2, 3. And you use a ratchet so you can get in there with a short. All right, so what I've done so far is took off these 3 8mm. I loosened the 3 on that side, but didn't take them out all the way. I'm going to take the one carburetor nut off right here. The other one, you can pull this back enough. You'll see it. See it right there. All right, and then we'll be able to pull this panel off and get this out of the way. All right, so here's the 10 for the back, and then these 2 hold the carburetor on, these 2 right here. All right, so we got the 2 right here, and these are the 3 for the plastic piece on the inside. Now this whole thing is loose. Take this vent line off right here, and we'll be able to pull this out of the way. There's another line right here, fuel line. We're just going to pull that up off the bracket like that. All right, so now we have this whole thing out of the way right here. And when we take this carburetor off, you can leave the lines and everything else connected to it. We're just going to swing it up out of the way. That's what we're going to do there, guys. You don't have to take all the brackets off for the choke cable and all that kind of stuff. You just don't need to do all that. Just take these this bracket off here. All right. Let's put this out of the way here. And we have one gasket casualty was the outside one here. This one's still good. All right, so we can just move that out of the way. And the carburetor is just going to slide off. I'm going to take my other hand. I'm going to pull this carburetor off out of the way and just swing it up. All right, just have to pull the line off so I can slide it out. The spark plug wire pulled out, and now we have the whole unit up here. Okay, so that whole thing is out of the way. Now to get the head off, which is here, you're going to have to take anything that's mounted to it off. So we're going to take this 8mm here off, the 8mm right here, pull this plastic cover off out of the way. All right, it says 4. All right, 1, 2, 3, 4. And this tape right here is kind of seals it around here, so now this whole thing will just come off. All right, so now we're down to the head. All right, so these are push rod heads. So when you get to this point here, these valves are not hard. You can just push them down and swing it out of the way. Take your push rods out. Okay, so here's the 2 push rods, and you can see the exhaust is bent, that one on the left right there. So whenever a valve hits a piston or something like that, it's gonna give somewhere. In this case, it bent the push rod and it snapped the valve. So we're just gonna keep digging, but we're gonna need a new one of those. I gotta figure out if these are the same size as factory Hondas or not, but yeah, these valves you can just push down. So let's pull this head off. All right, so to get the head off, you have 1, 2, 3, 4. All right, and again, these are all 13s right here. All right, guys, so there's our 4 head bolts. They're all the same size. I loosened them slowly to crosshatch pattern in case any of them binding up. So now let's get this head off of here, okay? You can see it's loose. And you can see the gasket is right in there, and that's the seal we're going to be breaking. So you might have to tap it a couple times at a dead blow. This cover right here is over it a little bit, which shouldn't be a big deal. You should be able to just pull it off of here. So let me tap it a couple times, loosen that gasket up. All right, so the guide pins are right here. Make sure you're pulling it out, tap it a couple times. I use this to regular dead blow right here, and the head's now off. So let's pull it off and see what we got. All right, hey, that's not too bad. I think we're gonna be all right. Yeah. Let's pull this down and see. Let's see if we have any damage over here on the side of the cylinder wall. Everything else looks pretty good. Yeah, still got cross hatch in there. I think we're gonna be just fine. All right, good. Let me get a head ordered up. I think we're gonna be fine with this one. Get a head ordered up. And so right now, time-wise, I'm right at about an hour and a half in. Okay, hour and a half in, and we're gonna go ahead and get the new head and push rods and reassemble it.